Hi, welcome to the Feminist Social live from our respective lounge rooms. I'm going to bring in Daddy. Daddy, are you there?
Hey.
Hi, Daddy. How are you?
Hello, how are you? Nice to see you again.
So great to see you too.
Hello, stranger.
Now, we usually do this show.
Why are we separated?
I don't know. But we
Sorry,
are,
I just
and
had
we
to
both
say it
look
that
fabulous. We both look absolutely fabulous.
We do, don't we? We look so great. You look absolutely fabulous, I must say. And the decor and what you've got on, just everything. You look fantastic.
Thank you. Well, on that note, should we get this show started? Let's do it.
I think we should.
Hi everyone. Welcome back. Welcome to the Feminist Social.
Hello, everybody.
I'm Carletta the Great, and we have Daddy Jane Doe.
Here to serve.
So tonight, Daddy, we have a really great show ahead of ourselves, don't we? We're talking about identity.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes. Very excited about this one. I think it's a pretty important topic at the moment, and I think a lot of people will be able to resonate with this, hopefully. I know from a lot of people I've been chatting with, there's been a lot of talk, so
absolutely,
it'll be nice to finally have a chat about it.
Absolutely. Exactly. And throughout the show tonight, we will be taking everyone's questions and thoughts. So if you have any thoughts on what identity means to you, to community, to your life in general, please do. Counterparts, so lovely to see you. But please do come and comment. We can read your comments, whether you are on YouTube or Facebook, and would love to hear from you all. Also, a note that if you are watching on Facebook, YouTube is actually a little bit faster. So if you want it like as IRL as possible, then definitely head on over to YouTube. And the link is in all of our bios. Our Charlie, our amazing tech, has just popped it into the comments, so you can actually get a link and go straight there if you want. But Daddy, I have some questions. I wanted to chat to you about. We were going to talk about some good times. What good times have we had?
Yes, actually, you know what? I know we were talking about you, though.
Well, yeah, I think we both are, but absolutely, we can talk about me. You know, I love talking about myself.
I know. I want to hear about you, because that one was a really, really fucking amazing story.
Yeah. So one of the really positive things that's happened from us going into level 4 for me is that I just, on a whim, when the masks became mandatory, came in, I made a mask and I popped it on Instagram and I said, hey, if anyone needs a mask, I'm here and I can make some. And then all of a sudden we'd set up a shop, and I have not only been able to feel good to be doing something and contributing to helping the community right now, but I've also actually made enough money to pay my rent this month. So
good.
That's pretty cool.
It's so good.
I'm all in for that.
That made me so happy when you said that. I was like, oh, that's so great. It's such great news. And it's always so good to hear news like that. Especially in these sorts of times, you know, when things can kind of feel like there's not much good going on, and sometimes it feels tough. It's like there are still really beautiful things happening.
Yeah. And you've got some exciting things coming up. You have you're doing some new classes next week, which is so exciting.
Yes. Okay, I'm really excited. So I decided to take the plunge and go out on my own in a pandemic and start my own sort of like dance school. So I'm just doing I'm doing online classes, and my new school is called Daddy Doe Daycare. So yeah. So I'm actually really enjoying the creative process of putting this all together, like everything from the way my name changed to this. It's like, yeah, everything's really good because it's a business venture, but also it's my identity.
Which is
we'll be seeing through my art.
We'll have lots to talk about on that tonight.
Yeah.
As well. Well, that's so fantastic. Yeah. And I love that name. And also for all of our viewers, if anyone has any great news stories that they want to share, by all means, pop that in the comments too.
Yeah.
We would love to hear from you. I know that our guest tonight has some really great news and stories of things that are happening in her life as well at the moment, which is wonderful.
And feel free to private message us if you don't want to type that now, but you've got a story that you want to share. Private message us, because we will be sharing these. We think it's very important to have these sorts of, really good little segments where there's good shit happening and we want to hear about it. So yeah,
absolutely. And another cute thing, I'm just going to share this cute thing with you all. Hopefully you can actually see it, but see what's on my cup of tea.
I want to be where the people aren't. Oh my God, could you not get any fucking truer statement right now? Yes. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It's not tea in there, by the way, but I won't tell you what's in there. I'm sure that you
I'd expect nothing less.
So this week we're talking about identity. The theme of the show is Who Is They? And we're going to get our special guest on very, very soon. But beforehand, I thought this is a great opportunity for us to both talk about what identity means to us as well. Yeah. I know for myself, I feel like sometimes a lot through my life that my identity and how I identify has changed. But I know from the outside, a lot of people would see me as the same. And yeah, so Daddy, what for you, when you think of the word identity, what words and what emotions kind of come to your mind?
I think, with identity at the moment it's very relevant to me. Because of just the name changes and all that sort of stuff, but it's kind of like identity is you evolving. That's your evolution. So I guess for me, identity is based on your evolution. I imagine that you don't really change your identity unless you evolve, whether that's forward or backwards. It wouldn't, but you still evolve.
Yeah. Well, there is this. I was watching some videos that, which all through uni, this is how I got by learning how to do anything, because I'm not very good at reading long textbooks. So I would just YouTube philosophy videos.
Yeah, I'm the bit the same.
And one of the ones I was watching the other day, they were talking about how the theory of physical continuity and psychological continuity, and how all of these things do change, but the essence of yourself remains the same. And it's about how we are reacting to the world outside of ourselves, which was really interesting thought as well. And if anyone has anything that they would like to share with us regarding identity, we would definitely love to hear from you. So please do comment away. This is what this is all about. It's about chats, lots of good chats.
Yeah, we want to talk to you, want to hear you, what you all think as well, because you're all a part of this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we've also, don't forget, we also have, if you want to share some love with us, we also have our little tip her button. So just go to thefeministsocial.com. I've remembered to do it.
I laughed because I was like, oh, I forgot again. Yeah, that's great.
We're going to get there. We're going to work it in more and more.
I know, but I'm just like, congratulations, you won. That's great. I'm going to try and catch up.
So it's at the bottom of the screen, and you'll be able to and in the comments, so you can definitely share the love with us at any time. We would always love that. Should we get our guest in?
I think so. I'm very excited.
So
I just keep looking at my notes.
Well, we've got so much to talk about tonight. So Cairo, Miss Cairo, are you there?
Hi.
Oh my God, you look so gorgeous. God damn it.
Thanks, babe. I'm just spilling the tea tonight.
Just cash.
Serving the tea.
So babin'.
Love it.
God damn it. I've been there, and it's definitely as comfy as it looks, I got to say.
Awesome. So Miss Cairo, it's so lovely to have you on the show. And especially if you come online and talk to us tonight about this topic. It's such a great topic to talk about. Can you tell us a little bit, when the word identity comes to mind, what are some of the first things that kind of come to your mind about that?
Yeah, cool. Just before I begin, I just want to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, on which I stand. And just as a FYI, I am a woman of colour sitting on a chair with a green chair with roses on it. There's a mantelpiece behind me. There is a table in front next to me with a tea set on it. And there's a sofa to the left of me as well. So what does identity mean to me? Bloody hell, anything and everything, really. What isn't identity?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we spoke so much yesterday, and I'm like, I don't know. What the hell? But like, I mean, so my identity markers, let's say, are I'm a trans woman of color, I'm able-bodied, I'm British, I am Egyptian, I am an Australian soon-to-be resident. Who knows? Who knows what I am, and who knows what I'm not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess that is the thing, from the inside of how we feel and from the outside of how people perceive us can sometimes affect that as well. And one of the things that we've all talked about recently is names, and how important names are in our personal sense of self. Daddy, you've recently changed the front of your name, and which I think is really powerful. Miss Cairo, you and I had some wonderful talks about names and how important that is as well. And a lot of people probably don't realize this unless they've known me for a while, but before I was Carletta the Great, I actually had a different performer name, and I changed it from Gingerly Rye to Carletta the Great because it sat better for me.
Yeah.
But Cairo, can you tell us a little bit about why you feel your name is important for you and as far as identity goes?
Well, obviously, Miss Cairo isn't my born natural name, but I'm not going to be showing that online on my work persona, whatever it is, my legal name is. I discovered this name when I was 17, in a bar in London called Bethnal Green Working Men's Club, doing a show. This is a very politically incorrect name, but this was like 10 years ago. It's called London's Next Top Tranny. And I was competing in that, and that was my first foray into performing. And they asked what my name was going to be, and I was like, oh, well, it's a pageant. My mum's going to call me India if I was assigned a female at birth. She was going to call me India, so I was like, why not Miss India? And they were like, well, you're Egyptian, why don't you call yourself Miss Cairo? I was like, okay, that's absolutely great. And the more I thought about it, the more I loved the fact that I was a kind of mixed race, gay, like feminist, like all of the things that kind of my Egyptian culture despised. I was representing it. So it was just a nice kind of tongue-in-cheek against kind of parts of my culture which had oppressed me in certain ways. But obviously, like, so I've been transitioning over the last 3 years, and I've been known as Cairo for a very long time, probably over 10 years now. And when I started my transition, obviously that's an opportunity to rename yourself, and Cairo just was sitting really well with me. And it's a unisex name as well, so for me I was like, oh, like I'm happy for this to continue with this. I've recently realised that Cairo is not my name, Miss Cairo is my name, and the reason for it is I've understood that naming isn't about letters. It's not about what the name is, whatever. It's the sound. Like, we respond to a sound. So for me, Miss Cairo, like when I hear it, I hear the is like bringing you in. It's yummy. The if. So the if makes you smile. So immediately, like, you're like, the Kai is expressive, and makes you, it's explosive, it's vibrant like me, and the Ro kind of draws you back in. So there's a really nice, like, cyclical nature of my name, and that's why I like hearing it, and like why I like saying it. Cairo sounds a bit abrupt for me, whereas Miss Cairo is a bit more inviting. And I've had like a lot of conversations with my family, because obviously I'm going to be legally changing my name, and I don't think I can officially change my name to Miss Cairo. I'm seeing if there's a way around it. But my family kind of, there's a lot of, I don't want to say pain, but there was a lot of resistance from me wanting to change my name, because my birth name was something that all of my family decided on, and it was both a Hebrew and like Hebrew, Muslim, and like Christian name as well. So it's in the Bible and the Quran. And my mum didn't know how to spell it, so I've got the only spelling of it. And I really love that name, and it's something that I hold really dear to me. And I was saying to my nan that, like, I honestly don't want to get rid of that name, but I can't use it because it's so gendered, and I can't kind of move through the world. Like, I don't care. I don't care what people think of my gender or my identity. But in order for me to kind of like live comfortably and live happily, like, I have to kind of adhere to some societal rules. So I've, decided that I'll be moving my birth name into as my middle name, because I still want to respect and honor kind of that part of my history, but I want to own my own name. Because as well, being Egyptian and being a born male, we tend to take on our father's name and our grandfather's name. Normally it's like the last 5 paternal names. So I was meant to have like 5 middle names essentially, but that was taken to the courts just to rule that out. But I've got, I mean, not going into too detail, but like, it's got my dad's name in there, and I don't have a strong relationship with him. And it's got my granddad's name, who I've never met. So there's a lot of things where I don't want particular people's names in my name. I don't want to be representing them. So for me, having Cairo means that I honor my history, my culture, my heritage, that side of the family. My surname Harris is my maternal side, my British side. Sorry, my House of Dizzy earring just came out just because my earphones are so large. And my middle name is like something close to my immediate family. So I don't know, like names change. Names are allowed to change. Like in meetings in meetings I run, I always say, I've integrated saying, what name do you want to be referred to today, and what pronouns are you using currently? Because these things are fluid and they can change, and names can change as well. Like, we should allow that to happen. It's a weird concept to be like, oh, here's a little baby, here's a name that you've got to use for everything for the rest of your life. Like, it's the same as assigning gender as well.
Yeah, I think that is important. What you mentioned before about the fact that names change and pronouns change, and Jane, this was something that you and I were talking about earlier today as well, about the fact, about other people acknowledging these and accepting a change as fact, and how that's important. And Jane, how about you? How's your experience gone with your name
with name changes? Well, I guess it was just a whole bunch of things happening this year, as well as, for me, I didn't really want that kind of gender attached, because I wasn't agreeing with any of this stuff, and then I found that my name was a part of something I didn't agree with. So, and then kind of like with relationships that I've experienced and I've been in, it feels very, what's the word? Submissive. So like I have an issue with like power dynamic. It needs to be there. And like, because of other experiences, not even just with lovers, with people that I work with, even in the industry, I feel like, that was taken away from me. So I guess that's me just wanting that out of kind of my vibe. And so then I guess I just wanted to change it, because I'm always talking about daddy shit. I'm not going to go into it. You just, that's what I've been doing. And fucking Google it. You'll find me.
Come down on the couch.
Yeah, exactly. But I just was like, I'll change all my names just to Daddy Jane Doe on just all the socials. And then people just started calling me Daddy without me saying anything. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck, that's who I am. Like, I really feel like that, a different energy right now. I really feel like a protector, but highly feminine, but also this strong, like, I don't even know, warrior presence. I don't really know how to describe the way I feel. My name is what I feel. And I feel like that makes all the sense. It's just like what you were saying, Cairo, about everything, the way your name sounds and the way the energy and how you wish to present through the world at present. Miss Cairo is that, Daddy Doe is that right now. I might fucking change it, because that's what we do,
Absolutely.
I want to add on that as well, because obviously you were Miss Jane Doe.
Yes.
Daddy Doe, formerly known as Miss Jane Doe, and like my beginning name is Miss as well. Like, and I enjoy the fact that Miss is submissive, but it's also quite matriarchal, and it's quite like
absolutely.
There's strength in it. But so even within our own identities and our identity markers, we have kind of different understandings and experiences with that association
and feelings towards the same things. But the thing is, as well, as I see everything that you wish to show me, and there's power and beauty in everything that you want, but that's just not me. But the same goes for how I choose to present. But I see exactly who you want. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much power and respect there still. But it's still funny, because it's like going through identity, but then I'm dropping the very same name. Is such a weird conversation to have. That's why I didn't want to talk about it. So I hope you didn't take that as a me being like, that's how I feel. That's not how I feel. I feel like that situation is how this body experienced that. Otherwise I would have kept it. That's what I'm saying. My experience with that was that.
But your identity doesn't affect my identity. Do you know what I mean?
No,
like,
exactly.
However you want to associate yourself with, I fully support that, and I'm fully here for that.
Totally.
Like, it doesn't, like, you as a woman doesn't define who I am as a woman.
Absolutely,
like,
absolutely.
We can be our own perception and our own ideas of women in the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really key point about identity as well, and that sense of self is understanding what your needs aren't the same as somebody else's,
totally,
but respect that other person's needs for how they recognize and acknowledge themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm 1,000% supportive, and I fucking love hearing your stories. But that's it. It's like you acknowledge where you're at in life and support that person in their journey. Like, it's a beautiful thing to see. I love watching, my friends' journeys with who they are and where they're going. I think it's beautiful. So.
And like with a lot of things in our lives, we are very different people from when we're from 19 to 30 to 40. Like, we change and grow, and our name should be allowed to change as well. Because
there are a lot of ideals that we've had, dumped into us that aren't possible. The whole entire world is breaking down right now, and all those things are breaking along with it. Just the same shit we've been saying this whole time.
Yeah.
For me, I think the last 10 years I've been going, oh, I wish I was 17 again. I wish I had like the same sense of freedom. Like, there was a lot of things about it. Wasn't about being young. It wasn't about being like having better skin or anything like that. It was just the sense of identity I had before I kind of went on this journey. Like, so when I was 17, my mum passed away, and I think that really shook what my core identity was. Because for the first 17 years of my life, my mum was my marker of what the world was. Like, it was how I understood politics. It was how I understood womanhood. It was how I understood that. And I was just like kicked out into the world, and I had to understand what this was. And I've been searching for getting back to being 17 again. And I finally feel, after 10 years, and also coincidentally, I'm in my 9th numerology year, which means I'm finalizing cycles. But I feel like I'm getting back to being that 17-year-old, because it's not that I'm going to be having a mortgage at some point. I've got a rent that I've got to be concerned about. I've got bills. I've got like still adult responsibilities that I have to adhere to, but I have that sense of freedom within myself now. It's not like, oh, I can just go out and get pissed and do whatever I want. It's actually, I have the freedom within myself to actually define who I am and be who I am, and allow myself to change constantly. Because as a performer, I've been concentrating so hard on branding. Like, even tonight, yesterday Carletta and I had like a real chill conversation. Like, my hair was shit. Like, I was just like, blah, blah, blah. And like, I was like, oh, okay.
I bet you didn't look like that at all.
No, I didn't look shit, but like, I didn't look.
Yeah, I thought so.
But like, I can feel like my work persona is kind of stepping in now. So I'm like, I'm being more considered about how I'm saying things. Whereas, like, over the last 10 years, I've been shit scared to. Sorry, it's before the watershed. I've been scared for doing things live on video, because I'm so worried about saying the wrong thing and it being taken out of context, because I've seen that happen so much. And now I've kind of got that. I've been practicing that a lot as well, by doing some like Facebook live mental health check-ins every morning, and
that has been awesome to see, babe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But
can we just say thank you for the work that you're doing, because that's incredible, and like, I know how much work that is involved. So
especially
really,
doing that every day.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of
that's
work.
huge. So
yeah, it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of energy, babe.
Yeah, I think that some of the things that that you were talking about with coming that full cycle to that that energy that you have when you're 17, but having that extra confidence. I feel like that extra confidence is one of the beautiful things that comes out of growing and aging, is that you get to a certain point in your life where you're like, I don't care if you don't like me, go fuck yourselves.
I think there's something as well with age. Like age is another identity as well. And it's funny, the older I'm getting, the less the more I understand that it means less. Like we're all on our different journeys. We all get to them at different parts. It actually doesn't matter what I often ask how old people are, just to kind of get a sense of where they're at in their life, not make a judgment on what I think. But it's like, okay, cool. Like I kind of expect that you'd have this amount of experience, but then I'm often surprised with the amount of experience, like, much younger people have had than me, but also how little experience older people than me have got. So, it's this constant scale that changes. It's not like, oh, you're young and then old. It's like that these intersections change kind of what that actually means.
I find that hard to judge until I chat to someone. It's when I chat to someone that I know their journey, because I don't really see age, I see their journey. Like, does that make sense? Because I don't even know what age it's because age is nothing. Like you just said, some people that are X number mean this, some people at this number mean this, but it doesn't mean anything, because the journey is so different depending on the person.
I think we're also lucky that we are in a generation, say people who are under 50, are from a generation where we have been allowed to age youthfully. And I'm not talking about like, cosmetic treatments, just that we've grown up without the expectation of having to do the things of getting married, having kids, having a house, and doing all those things by a certain age.
I don't know. I feel like I wish my family. I'm definitely not anything my family wanted. They love me, but I'm no doctor.
Oh, yeah.
But I think as well, like there's a cultural difference there as well. Like, I come from. Although I was born and raised within my British white family, like there's still expectations as being a firstborn male child that I'm not adhering to, and like within kind of my culture, like I think we've got to be right. Like there's nuances of expectation as well.
Yeah.
Renegade cat.
Yeah. How do you find dealing with that, Cairo?
Well, it's a weird one because I don't have so much of a connection to my Egyptian culture as I'd like to, and that's mainly just through circumstance. But also as well, like I do feel out of my depth as well. Like I'm kind of in the process I am in the process of doing research to do a documentary about Egypt. And just the nuances of dealing with, like, I would love to do something about queer people in Egypt, but I'm realizing I actually can't. Like, I can put a lot of people at risk and they will be killed if they are like vocal about that. So I really don't know how I feel and fit in with my culture. I just know that when I first went to Egypt, or the only time I've been to Egypt at the age of 14, I have never felt more at home in my life. That disregards a lot of other experiences, but I was so overwhelmed with how connected I was with that place. It's not that I wanted to move there or anything like that, but the sense of identity came through, and I was so proud of being a part of that really rich tapestry. And it's weird being a mixed race person as well. I'm never gonna say that my experiences are harder than Black people or Indigenous people, or I understand the intersections of my experience, but like there are things within being a mixed race person which are really difficult to deal with, especially when you've not had access to either culture and you're searching for that identity constantly. My relationship probably with my father, you know, there is a cultural conflict there, but there's also like things about my sexuality I mean, hopefully it's not watching because I haven't even come out as being trans yet, to that side of the family. But like, you know,
I really hope that's not a thing.
Pardon?
I really hope that's not a thing.
It'll be coming out the next week anyway. I've come out publicly to everyone basically, but it's there's a few family members who I've not got like a super close relationship with, and they're a bit too young to have these conversations. So I don't know. It's an interesting time for that for me at the moment. There's some big shifts happening, which I probably shouldn't be so public about.
Yeah. Then, thank you.
But has that been something that through your transitioning that you have found part of your identity growing as you kind of get the confidence to talk to people and to come out to family members? Have you found that has really kind of helped to kind of cement your growing and changing identity?
Yeah, I think things aren't necessarily related to kind of just my transition. Like I've been making some amazing personal shifts in my life. Like I've been going to therapy. I've been, you know, I moved halfway across the world for years. I left burlesque and cabaret and focused on being a hairdresser, where I was winning awards. I was doing really well. I was doing therapy. I had great mentorship from people, and I've been sourcing out like different self-help things. So I wouldn't say like my transition has defined any of that necessarily. All of these things happen at the same time. Like I've had a lot of,
because you're a whole person.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, I've made some massive changes in my life. Like my house is a mess again, but that's not because I'm being untidy. It's because we've obviously had a big shift in, like, my partner's working from home now and things like that. But generally, like, everywhere else is tidy. I've always been messy. But I've changed that in my life over the past couple of months. I've stopped smoking, I've stopped drinking, and I haven't gone, I'm going to stop doing this. These have all been gradual changes, and people have been asking me, well, what was the epiphany? Like, why am I not having this epiphany yet? And I was like, but it wasn't just one singular moment that went, oh, cool, this is what it is. It's been a collection of snowballing experiences that have led me to get to this place. The only thing that I can do is share with people my experience and hope that they can find tools in there that will help them. I'm trying to get less out of the habit of dictating and telling people what to do, because I know what it's like when you're clinically depressed, sitting in bed for 3 months, and people have been like, "Have you just tried going for a run?" And you're like, "I can open my eyes today." Whereas I've learned that it's actually looking at the building blocks and being like, I'm going to actually congratulate myself for waking up today. Yeah. Like that's the first, and I've got a list of things I have to do during the day, and I cross it off to be like, well done, you did something today. And I know if someone said this to me, like even last year, I'd been like, absolutely, like, bugger off, that's not going to work. But I've done all these other things that have made that possible for me. But I'm never going to tell someone just to go for a walk or run. It's going to change their life. It's just going to be a step in the right direction, or a run in the right direction.
Yeah. Which actually, that does kind of lead on to one of the other things we were talking about, which was the pillars of survival, which I think is something that really helps with with so many things, including having depression. You know, you cannot pull yourself out of bed unless you have some of those wonderful things to, you know, behind you, which is some of your basic needs need to be met before you can move forward and before you can really start to identify who you are as a person.
Yeah, and we spoke about this yesterday, and I ended up doing a consultation service for someone the other day, which, by the way, everyone, if you would like a consultation, my services are available. Please email me on prettymisscarrot@gmail.com. But I'm offering consultation services about my identity, about my experiences, and kind of, it's not necessarily life coaching, but it's just about having a conversation. But I've understood that I need to value my time and my energy and my income. So obviously, like, I'm I charge for it, and there is a scale of kind of what we're talking about, and there's discounts available depending on, but that's discretionary down to me. But one of the questions asked was like, well, what can you do to help the trans community? Who bloody knows? But I think sometimes we expect that so trans people have these issues, and it's like, okay, cool, we've got to sort out these issues. When actually, what a lot of trans people, myself included, have needed is the other support. So the pillars haven't. I was going to write up a little board, but I forgot to. So your pillars of survival are basically like your water, air, food. The next one is your house, safety, and then it becomes into a bit more your your sense of identity, your sense of awareness, your relationships. And oftentimes we're trying to come into these like identity levels when actually it's like, oh, this person's struggling because they can't afford their rent. This person is struggling, and it's not always going, oh, well, you can't afford your rent, so I'm going to give you money. It's actually, well, let's maybe look at something more sustainable in the long term. Of instead of just giving people money, how do we help them make their own money and find their own money by investing a part of ourselves into them?
Giving power to those. They need power. It's not about giving them that like quick solution. It's about being able to give someone those tools to be able to consistently win.
Yeah, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yes, my
perfect.
I'm trying to think.
Thanks.
And I was like, gotta get my food. That's it. Yeah.
And it's also helping to break the cycle of asking, because that is something when you are really struggling, having to consistently ask for your basic needs is time consuming, and it's also it's like draining on your soul. So you can't think creatively or think about your identity if you can't eat.
I'm trying to get into more of the habit of just asking. Like, we've had this whole "Are you okay?" movement, which has been great, but I think sometimes that is like when you're asking someone, is like, okay, there's it becomes problematic because it forces that person to have to admit, and it might not be a safe environment to do so. And you can still say, yeah, I'm fine, and then it's like, all right, cool, great. When actually you need to have like the question that I'm tending to ask now is, what do you need? What can I give you? Because then that's more of a direct question. And it's not actually, you're not then therapizing, you're not kind of looking on that level. It's actually like, what do you need? What can I give you? And if you can give it.
You don't want to open trauma, you want to be able to assist. So really you need to change the narrative of how you ask questions, because what is your goal? To have a conversation with someone, what's the goal? So then you need to restructure what that means. It's, and what that... I say that I want to help you. So what does that mean? Yes, as you said, how can I help you? What do you need?
Because I don't want to get into the habit of asking someone, are you okay? And then they're telling me their whole life story. But I haven't got I'm not a therapist. I don't have that emotional reservoir to give because there's no boundaries in place. But if it's, what can I give you? They say what they need, and I can tell them what I can give them. Like you can meet halfway. If you're like, I'm really sorry, I can't give you this at the moment, but maybe I can help you in this capacity, or maybe I can help you find the resources. I might not be able to give you the money to pay your bill, but maybe I can help bring up some services that can help you. They will give you the money to pay for it. Like there's ways around it. It opens up more of a conversation of being productive and pragmatic, as opposed to I've been looking a lot at, so at the beginning of the first lockdown, I went on this big kind of philosophical exploration because with Black Lives Matter, I was just like, what the hell can I do? I've done my protesting. I've been angry. I've been hurt. I've been going through that trauma for years, and I was tired of it. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm done with this shit now. Like, I want to move forward. I want to be pragmatic. Whilst my boyfriend was breaking down, and I was like, this is the first time I can give you space for this. Like, yes, baby, you are allowed to, as a white male, be upset about this, and I want to see that. But while you're doing that, I can console you, but I'm going to be working on these other things. And in one of the explorations, I realized about looking at your cycles of trauma and cycles of abuse. and came up with a bit of a flow chart, which again, I wish I had a board, but it's basically how we get caught in these cycles. And we need to understand that we do have a choice to get out of them. There's always a choice to be made. The only thing is we need the resources to make that choice, to back up that choice. But we also need to know that we can always disengage from having to make these choices. I mean, there are obviously big nuances to be had in there. I'm not generalizing entirely, but my biggest thing to help me, what got me out of depression in the first lockdown was when I'm depressed, I stay in bed for a week. When I stay in bed for a week, I'm depressed. And for me, it was like, what was first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. Like, they're one of the same. And I realized that it was like, well, I have a choice to make. One, don't be depressed, how? The other one was get out of bed. And in that, when I recognized that I had two choices, I went, oh, well, I'm going to do the easiest one because I know that I can do that. And I did. And I'm not going to say, and then I woke up and it was a brand new day and everything was great. But it made me go, all right, cool, you're out of bed, now what? And then like it made me realize that like I had so much fear about getting out of bed because one, I didn't have a job at the time. So I was like, well, what do I do? Or I felt overwhelmed because I had everything to do. Or like, I took a week off of work once and didn't even ring into work because I was like, oh my God, I have to have a conversation with my boss about why I'm feeling like this and blah, 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 blah. But the choice was just get out of bed. But, that's how we evolve these things. And it's also like, I had to check in with what do I need?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I'm okay or I'm not okay. What do I need? And it's kind of how you, I've been looking a lot as well of your inner child and your self-parent. So I don't like looking after myself. I think a lot of us don't. We don't know how to. But I find it easier to give advice to other people and to look after them. My boyfriend would beg to differ because I'm terrible when he's 100%. Ill. But it's easy to be like, I'm gonna please you, I'm gonna help you. So I looked at myself, I looked at my identity, I looked at myself as an abstract concept, and when I'm gonna look at me as if there's two people. So there's my inner child and there's my self-parent. So I'm gonna give my parent the tools and resources it needs to look after my child.
Yeah.
And I can look after my child and I can look after my parents. So it meant that I was then compartmentalizing myself and being like, all right, cool, what's my needs? Like last night I was walking around the house on my own being like, I'm tired, I'm hungry. And my parent was like, well, why don't you go to bed? Or why don't you go have some food? And my child was like, no, I just want to have a tantrum. And then I was like, all right, cool. The child right now just wants to have a tantrum and that's fine. Once the comes out,
you see parents do that.
You walk away.
You see parents do that all the time. I love it. Yeah.
But I mean, I wasn't raised with strong parents. Like my father wasn't around and my mum was an alcoholic with bipolar. And I didn't have the most consistent childhood, but I've learned in my adulthood that I actually have the responsibility for myself to be my own parent. I spent most of the majority of my life kind of, even when my mum was still alive, I was looking for a mother figure. I was looking for people to look after me. When I've got to that point this year, I was like, you can look after yourself and you can look after other people, but you've really got to make sure that you are parenting correctly for yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that's also something that is more recognizable in this generation as well, is that we have had to do a lot of us were latchdoor kids, and so we had to do a lot of looking after ourselves. And I know myself personally, I left home at 16, so I had to look after myself completely for a lot. And obviously my parents I've gone back into the family fold, but they have supported me on and off throughout the years. But at the same time, there is that sense of that you have to really look after yourself and you have to stand on your own 2 feet.
Yeah.
In a very different, and I do also, I feel for a lot of people right now who are, and I promised myself I wasn't going to talk about the big C word tonight, so we won't use it, but people who are living on their own and would be really questioning who they are and where they are at the moment, because they're having to do all of that cycle on their own.
Yeah, totally.
Cairo, there's something that I absolutely want us to talk about today.
Really like,
which,
I want to do
which is so you're working on a very exciting project. Do you want to tell us about it?
I do indeed. So one of the biggest questions in our industry is, where are all the people of color? I just can't book any people of color. I wonder where they are.
I cannot find them anywhere.
So I had this concept about 5 years ago, but I wasn't sorry. I didn't feel supported in myself, and I didn't feel supported by the industry to kind of move forward with this. But now I'm in a space to, a great space where I can actually provide opportunities and clarity for other people. So I've started setting up we don't know what we are at the moment from a vocabulary identity perspective, but let's say we're an organizer and not a non-incorporated organization. So we're a group called People of Cabaret. And we are a group of people of colour from the cabaret industry. At present, it's just Australia based, but we do have links to England, like me, and we do plan to evolve this in the future to be have our global chapters. But it's basically an initiative to, so we're going to have a scholarship program, which is going to be assisting new and emerging performers of colour, and they're going to be mentored by cabaret artists in the industry of colour. And everyone that we're applying for funding will be accepting donations soon, but everyone from, including the mentors, will be getting paid. We are, always on the lookout for other help. We will be expecting people who don't identify as people of colour to be either giving their services to us for free as reparations, or if they're highly specialised fields, to be doing it at a reduced rate. But we really operate on the fact that just because it's free, it's not that we don't value those services. So I should have planned these things a little bit more. There's so much about this.
You do well, mate. You do well.
So we're going to have our scholarship program, and that we're aiming to have 3, 6, and 12 month tiers. And we will be setting up a consultation service as well, which means businesses, specifically like production companies, festivals, all these places can hire people of colour to come in and talk about inclusivity and diversity. It means that consultants will get paid, and also will be expecting a donation towards People of Cabaret as well. So you could basically become not a patron, but a supporter. And eventually we do want to be looking at how we set our regulations and standards in our industry, because I think specifically in cabaret and burlesque, we don't necessarily, our identity doesn't fall in any equity standard. So it's really hard to regulate, and I think we actually need to start coming together and having these conversations and actually setting things from a legal standpoint. So that's something that we want to work towards too. But we're on the lookout at the moment for a graphics designer of colour, and we're going to be looking for a social media marketer as well. These will all be paid roles. No person of colour is asked to minimize themselves. The whole point of this is to uplift and re-energize the economy that is already there, but always undervalued. Jane is also part of the collective as well. What else do we need to say?
That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
Yes,
and
people will be a lot of work. It's been very thorough, and we've had very intrinsic conversations and meetings about these things. So this is a very, very beautiful space, and Clara's doing something pretty special. So if everyone is listening, fucking listen.
And you can find, you've got a Facebook page and an Instagram page, I believe. I've already done we did a little bit of a Google. So I think it's really important that people go along and pages so that they can keep in touch with information of ways that they can, if they are a person of colour, that they can get involved, or the rest of us that we can support, donate.
There's time for us all.
Yeah. That's amazing.
You see it.
But it's also like, this isn't my thing, this is a community thing as well. So like it's not at the moment I'm kind of like pushing it forward just because it's good to have like a consistent through line. But the idea is to have a committee that we're growing this together, because it's community driven at the end of the day.
We're always searching for as diverse as we can. So Cairo and I were even speaking about it. Like, I'm so grateful to be a part of this because I get to learn about things that I'm not aware of. You know, I still have privileges and I show ignorance in various spaces, and I would like to, you know, educate myself on those things. So for me, I'm always constantly learning as well, and it's keeping yourself accountable for that. Being an activist too, you know, you really do to keep your eyes open.
It's also crossing over the fine. So the fine line between kind of community, crossing over the fine line of community-driven projects and actually getting shit done. I think sometimes with community-driven projects, they can be lost in the feelings and emotions, and that is going to be a central thing of what we do. But we're also making sure that we're doing everything legitimately, everyone's getting paid fairly, everything's being done equally, and we're doing everything legally, because we're tired of being told by white people that we're not good enough, or we're not clever enough, or we're not this enough. We're turning up to the table and being like, we've got our shit together, we always have done, give us money, we're not even asking for space anymore. Like, we're tired of doing that. We've been doing that for years, and now we're like, we've got our own space now. You can enjoy it.
It sounds really exciting, and I think it's something that a lot of people should definitely get on board with helping and supporting as much as they can. And if people, and it was one of those things that you said before about, like, don't ask if you're okay. You know, if you want to get involved, you know, get in touch with people and say, what do you need, and see if it's something that you can do.
And also, Caro, can I just add? I was just to say, and if you do say, what do you need, can you also as well just offer things straight off the bat? Like, sometimes if we're getting inundated with people being like, what do you need? I'm like, I don't know. What can you give? Like,
I'm do this.
Bring things to the table as well. Like, we'll tell you what we need and how. Yeah.
Awesome. Wonderful. Caro, it's been so lovely chatting with you. We could have like 6 of these episodes with you. It's so wonderful having you on the show. And just a reminder, everyone, you can follow Miss Cairo on Instagram, Pretty Miss Cairo, and also on Facebook. We will say goodbye now, but we love having you on. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Oh, I love her so much.
So wonderful. And so it's been such a great show. Really interesting to hear like a different perspective from everyone. And we, as usual, we do continue these conversations offline. So if you do have anything that you didn't feel like you could talk about today, by all means, just jump online.
We always love to hear what everyone thinks. So, if there's like topics that you want to discuss that we haven't discussed yet, or please send us a message. We'd love to hear from that. And if you want, feel free to tip us.
Yes. I'm giving you a bit of high fives now. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely tip us. We would love it, because it goes towards helping support us to keep this show going. If we are hoping that in the very near future that we will make enough that we can pay everyone what they're worth, and we need your help with that. Also, we wanted to start doing a little segment called about sharing the love, and doing some shout outs for some boss babes that are also out there doing their thing. And I will post this on the link on the bottom of this video after the show. But there is a show right now that's happening tonight called Glory Hole 2, and it's sex worker stories, and that's happening around Australia.
Tell me about this. Can you send me the details?
Yes, definitely. Queenie Bonbon got in touch with me before, and she was like, "Hey, baby, if you're doing a shout out, put this on." So yes, it's called Glory Hole 2. You can find the event on Facebook. Their tickets are through Eventbrite. It'll be like I've watched the last one. It was so fantastic, and they've got some really great sex workers telling their stories and with some really wonderful entertainment. So do join in.
So please feel free to give us your businesses. We'd love to hear from you and support you. We'd love to hear about your stories, your success stories during COVID, because there are good things happening, and we do want to like talk about that too, because it's not all like downhill. So
exactly.
Yeah. And shall we discuss our next show date?
I can't wait. Yes. Go ahead.
It is the
18th of September.
It is 18th. Yeah, I did get it right. Yeah. Yay! I'm so sorry for dates, but I'm starting to train myself. 18th of September, body politics. We had a really good discussion about that today, so it should be really, really exciting.
And it'll be a very meaty topic again, which and we've all got our own individual views on body politics. So you've got over a month to let us know, talk to us, and share your thoughts, because we'd really love to hear from you all. Wonderful. Well, I think we're at the end of the show. What do you reckon? And I'm just going to say, as much as I love seeing you on the screen, it's just not the same. So
I know.
Hopefully next time we'll be together, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. I miss you. This feels weird.
You too.
Oh well.
But we will be back in a month's time on here, and we'll be on Instagram as usual.
It's been such a journey with this show, though. But like honestly,
it has.
Time.
It's gone from being a live show to here we are. But it's been
we're
great.
Allowed out to you're back at home, and we're allowed out. You're back at home.
Here we are.
What
exactly.
will happen next?
Hopefully.
What will happen next, guys? For next show, who fucking knows? Anything. Yeah. We might still be on the floor, or we might be in a venue, or I don't know. Who knows? Bets on what happens. That's what I want to know.
All right. Well, we love you all. Remember, like, subscribe, tip, stay in touch, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Bye.